I was on Coast to Coast Radio a couple years ago, and I spoke about the DNA, and this Native American sent me an email, and he was very angry with me, and saying, how can you refute our legends? How can you say this? And I said, well, this is what DNA says. And so then I started explaining to him that most Chinese babies are born with a blue spot at the base of the spine on the buttocks. And he said, oh, my children were born with a blue spot. In fact,
yes,
one of them had
very common in China.
Yeah, but with the Native Americans have this too. And so he wouldn't believe DNA, but he believed the blue spot, because he said one of his children got sick, had to go back to the hospital. They thought he'd been beating the child. And he said, oh, no, this runs in my family. Well, it's not only the blue spot, but there's also a special type of teeth. And the Native Americans, many of them have this type of teeth. And when they study the ancient skeletons, they have that same type of teeth.
Isn't there also in the Indian language, there's certain words and sound that are
well, there's several
same
different.
as the Chinese language?
We know there are many different languages among the Indians. There's certain tribes that have more. One of the sayings that some of the Indians say is "ayah."
This is famous Chinese. Chinese like to say "ayah." It's sort of surprising exclamation.
I was watching Dances with Wolves, which was they said it's in the genuine Lakota language.
Yeah.
And they offered the American soldier some food, and the American soldier offered the Indian some food, and he said, "Buyao."
Oh, that's
I
Chinese.
don't want. That's Chinese. That means I don't want.
Yeah.
And from the old westerns, movies.
Yeah.
Do you remember what the Indians would say to when they would meet you?
No,
They would say "hao."
Oh, yes.
Ni hao.
Hao. Ni hao.
Yeah. So you have a lot of these similar type of words. Now, after separation from thousands of years, of course, many of the words were same.
Yeah.
And some of the Korean and Japanese words are also in some of the tribal languages. So you can't just say, that the Chinese people
But the Japanese, Korean are related to Chinese anyhow.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that the preponderance of the DNA evidence is from China.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, do you know any university or biologist or anybody that is still pursuing or doing this kind of DNA work?
Oh, well, the interesting thing is the DNA studies, most of them have been done by pharmaceutical companies because different ethnic groups...
they have to do tests on drugs.
Right, because they respond differently to medicines. Like, for instance, Asian children cannot take Tamiflu, which Caucasian children can, or Caucasian people can. And so they do these genetic studies. So these studies haven't been done by Chinese people trying to prove that they're related to the Indians. They've been done mainly by Caucasian pharmaceutical companies that are trying to find the different ethnic groups, the study of the Native American DNA.
So become a byproduct, they discovered this kind of historical significance. Yeah.
Right, and then there was a biologist from Australia who came across this. He's a microbiologist, came across this evidence, and he was a Mormon, and it contradicted Mormon doctrine. And so he took it to the Mormon Church, and anyway, he left the Mormon Church, and then they excommunicated him. So they didn't want to hear this because they felt that it contradicted Mormon doctrine.
It was the religion, yeah.
But he did a book that has a lot of information. At the end of the book, it's mainly about his inner conflict, because you can understand he was a bishop in that church.
Oh, he's a bishop in the Mormon.
He was a bishop in the Mormon Church. He ended up losing his family over this.
I see. Is the book, you know the title of the book or the author name?
Okay, let me see. It was one of the ones that I had down here. I'm sorry.
That's fine. Take our time to...
It is... I'm sorry, I'll have to give that to you later.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. So this, I think I remember seeing some on the internet that the communications among the Mormons, and there are a lot of even videos and people giving presentations and so on. But all of a sudden, they all disappeared, being taken off. Yeah. When you click them, they're no longer available. For example, all these YouTube type of presentations. So I wonder, this definitely is probably caused some controversy, among the.
Okay, this man's name is Dr. Simon Sotherton.
Oh, yes, Simon Sotherton.
Sotherton.
Yeah.
And he's from Australia.
Simon is Simon. Sotherton is Southerton.
Right,
Sotherton.
Simon Sotherton.
Okay.
Losing a Lost Tribe. That's
right. Losing a Lost Tribe is the title of the book.
But at the back of the book, it shows the studies of the tribes that they had done.
Yeah.
Now, at that time, I think that they had done 175. Now they've done 200 tribes. Or when I communicated with him. He wasn't interested in this showing anything about the Chinese, but it does show that it's the haplogroup A, B, C, and D,
right.
which is what the Han Chinese have.
Just by coincidence, the Chinese also did some classification of their DNA studies.
Right.
So it correlates. That's very interesting. Now, you also brought some maps here, particularly this giant map.
Okay.
What is the significance of that?
Okay, this is actually not a map, but a time chart history of the world. And one of the things that most people don't realize is how long Chinese history is.
Oh, certainly, yes.
Yes.
In this country, I mean, we have a few hundred years, but they're talking about thousands of years, so at least a factor of 10. And it's very hard for children studies, to say, well, we study Civil War, we study this in a few years period of time, versus the Chinese kids. They have to, in 1 year, 1 semester, they have to cover, 1,000 years, because otherwise they couldn't cover all history.
Right, and for most of history, China had the most advanced culture on Earth. People say, oh, this couldn't happen, but Chinese have, just in the year 2000, just a few years ago, they completed an exhaustive study. They said, how far back does our history go? And it involved hundreds of scholars, and they decided that it went back to about 2070 BC.
Oh, BC.
That's for the first dynasty.
Yeah.
And so this is a time chart history of the world, and I will give you part of this.
One at a time, so we could slowly.
Okay, so this is about 2000 BC. So
how do you open this?
Okay, you start pulling that end.
Okay.
And this gives how long the Chinese history goes back.
Oh, I think we have to do my end first, and then slowly unfold.
We might have to do this.
And this.
It goes about 12 to 14 feet long.
Right.
And about how all these different cultures spread out. With those who are scholars of the Bible, that would be about time of Abraham and Sarah.
I am holding the latest period, right? The year 2000 around here.
Right.
So this part actually, we are pretty familiar. I mean, the president, Lyndon Johnson or Stalin or these people. And then going over to 1900, all right? I'm going to fold this slowly. And then as you go earlier, this is 1800, 1700 rather, 1700, that's where independence. Okay, this is American history, but of course there's lots of stuff, particularly about scientific inventions, or like telescope or this air balloon, things like that. This is very interesting. You say this? Who published this?
This is from Barnes and Noble. It's a time chart history of the world, and it's also available on the internet.
Oh, wow!
Yeah, but
this is amazing.
It is an amazing tool, and when I give my speeches, and I've given speeches in many different locations in the world, I like to take this and